Assignment 17 actually began in January of 1947 in a hotel suite in Copenhagen. 2 days before, on January the 26th, a Dutch plane had crashed, killing my dear friend, Prince Gustavus Adolphus of Sweden. And at the same time, in the career of the beautiful American soprano Grace Moore. I'm sorry. I had the facts, but I had to prove. I had only a burning hate for the man responsible. I hate his smugness, his fake, his brilliance. I hate myself in this hotel room on that 3 years ago and drinking his champagne.
My dear Baroness, a woman of your background would have accepted my invitation. Your champagne.
Thank you.
You did your best to save him, didn't you?
I underestimated you. I never dreamed she could see him in a plane in Denmark.
It was necessary that Gustavus Adolphus I could have gotten to anywhere.
I promise you that someday, I don't know how or where or when, but someday, as God is my judge, I will pay you back.
That's no recrimination. The episode is ended. Drink your champagne.
If you'll excuse me, I think I leave. I shall come.
But you did, didn't you?
I want to see from your lips.
Oh, come, Baroness. We are Europeans. We may be on opposite sides, but that doesn't prevent our having a drink together.
You 20 in that plane crash. Are you really as calm as you look? Doesn't bother you at all?
Very much. Very much. I feel particularly about Grace Moore. She was a very talented and attractive woman.
His name was Kurt Werder, and he was a monster of evil. 1 year later, I saw him in the Prague. It was March of 1948. And on the 10th of the month, Jan Massey had committed suicide. At least, the chest read, slain awesome. I believe otherwise. Because Kurt Werder was there. This I tried to kill him. I went to the evening halls where he was hiding and tried to kill him.
Drop that gun, Baroness. Drop it or I break your Thank you.
I swear that someday it takes me the rest of my life.
You are a fool. Masaryk is afraid to live. He jumped out of that window himself. Yes.
Swear that someday I'll kill you. I swear it.
That will be difficult. Next assignment is in America. I'm marrying an American girl in the United States legation in Sofia. We are sailing for New York next Thursday.
And then, Kurt Werder disappeared. I neither heard of him or saw him for 2 years. I came to America myself, and gradually, the school which he stood for faded from my memory. And then, last week, that memory returned with a rush. Gordon Huntley, one of the most prominent surgeons in the telephone apartment. Hello?
This is Gordon Huntley speaking.
Dr. Huntley, of course I remember you. How are you?
Oh, thank you. Something I'd like to talk to you about.
Oh, really?
Yes, I felt that because of this work, you might be able to help me. Have you ever heard of a man named Kurt Werder?
Kurt Werder?
Yes. You know him?
Yes, I do.
Could you see me tonight?
Certainly, where?
Well, I have to sit out tonight. Station at 7, 8. Could you come at 7:15?
7:15 will be fine, Dr. Huntley.
Office is 918 72nd Street.
918 77. I'll be there at 7:15.
It's back at 7 o'clock and the chapter child isn't coming. Why don't you go down to the phone and get the sandwich?
You've a 7:15 appointment, Dr. Huntley.
I won't need to. It's personal.
Well, if you're...
You're the hungriest woman in New York.
All right, I will. Oh! Dr. Huntley,
Yeah?
did you have a patient last night after I left?
What makes you think so?
Because I distinctly remember empty sanitary last night before I left, and this morning there was some soiled bandage.
I'll tell you it later.
Of course, I didn't mean to imply that they...
That's all right. Go out and have some supper and be back.
Yes. Excuse me, I didn't realize there was anyone waiting. Will you tell Dr. Huntley his work is here? Will you run Miss Guerra? You see me. Tell him. Yes, Clear, I'm afraid you'll have to make an appointment. Dr. Huntley's very busy and please. Tell him. I'm out myself. He's working. Dr. Huntley never sees anybody without an appointment. Gordon, Doctor, he just pushed her way in. I told you.
All right, Nurse Black. Don't have to...
I told you, Susie, that you never saw anybody.
Please go and have your supper.
Yes, Dr. Huntley.
Shut the door.
Are you still keeping it a secret? Oh, all right.
I told you not to come. I told you I didn't want to have anything more to do with you. I did what you asked. I gave you 48 hours. Well, now I'm going to the police.
Gordon, when you've lived in Europe as well, you get a different front on me.
Look, Frida, this country suits me fine, just fine. I refuse to help a man who gets shot trying to wreck it. I hate communism, and I don't want to have anything to do with it.
You're afraid.
All right, I'm afraid. But I have a reputation to protect. If the hospital ever knew about you, I'd be finished.
You owe it to me, Gordon.
I don't know you.
Kurt's wound is infected. I want...
No.
It's only 2 blocks.
You turned out of nowhere after all these years, and but I won't help you anymore.
I had to come to you, but there was no... We didn't know any other certainly. I know you hate me. I know you did.
I don't hate you.
But you certainly can't love me very much.
Look, Frida, I don't care if Kurt dies. Do you understand that?
That's a fairly consistent attitude with you.
Frida, forget the past. I did what I doctor would do because I was so stuffed at seeing you. And because you do happen to
I'm
be...
Kurt's wife, and I love it.
That's too bad. You marry somebody from sewer, you've got to live with a stench.
Listen, Gordon. I'm just about at the end of my rope. Kurt is not going to die. You may not think he's much, but I love him. I love him enough to go to jail for him, steal for him, or even... We've got before he can travel. That's all. I'll get your bag and come.
If you don't stop, I'll call the police. I won't. Frida, you crazy? Put that gun away.
Got to have a week.
Not from me.
I mean, Gordon, you've got that. I'll get your bag and come on. This is a debt of yours, Gordon. Now come quietly. If you don't, you'll make a terrible mess of you. Clarence, I just don't understand it. I just don't understand where he could go. He always has office hours Tuesday night. Did he call the hospital? And his phone service and his hotel. And they haven't heard from him? Nobody has heard from him. Have you ever seen this brother before? No. You are sure? Positive. If there was only some way we could get her address. Do you know her? I know her husband. What's the connection with Dr. Huntley? I don't know. I only know that her husband is one of the most dangerous men in the world. There's something else. What? Yesterday morning, I'll get in before Dr. Huntley. I found some soiled dressings in the sand. I don't understand. At the end of the day, I clean up. There were blood-stained bandages in the garbage yesterday morning. Dr. Huntley must have had a surgical case last night after I left. Did you ask him? Matter of fact, I did. He was sort of evasive. He said he'd tell me about it later. Beth, do you think we ought to call the police? I don't know. I don't know what to do. 10:30, I'm getting worried. There may be some perfectly logical explanation, Miss Black. Let's wait until midnight. If he isn't home then... Dr. Huntley's office.
Nurse Black, this is Hanlon's father.
Oh, hello, Mr. Hammond.
Is Dr. Huntley there?
I'm sorry, he's out. May I take a message?
Well, we just got the oddest prescription from Dr. Huntley that I ever saw in my life.
Prescription? When?
So it is now. It's for penicillin, and it just doesn't make sense.
Will you hold the line a moment? Better still, can I call you back?
Oh, there's a man waiting for it.
Mr. Hanlon, just stall for a minute, will you? Just stall for a minute, and I'll call you right back. That's the druggist at the corner. Hanlon's pharmacy. He's there for ages. He just got a prescription from Dr. Huntley. You think? Nurse Black, I think you are a very smart woman. You want me to come with you? No. You stay here in case Dr. Huntley calls. There's a man waiting for the prescription. Tell you what, I'll phone Hanlon and say you're on your way down. You can walk it in less than a minute. I'll tell him you'll go to the side door. It opens right into the dispensary at the back of the store. Is the man out there, Mr. Hunt?
The red-haired fellow in the dark coat.
Then just come in.
And just before I telephoned, Nurse Black.
What did you tell him?
I said it would take about 20 minutes to make up a prescription. He said he'd wait.
Have you ever seen him before?
I don't remember him.
What's so odd about this prescription?
There's no address on it, that's odd. Then the quantity. Tablets, penicillin, oral. 100 units, numero 5. 1 tablet 4 times daily.
It doesn't make sense.
That's 5 100-unit tablets. And there's no such thing as 100-unit tablets.
Are you sure that's Dr. Huntley's writing?
Oh, yes, I've been filling prescriptions for years.
What's your usual penicillin prescription?
Well, it varies.
Supposing you give him 20 tablets of 100,000 units each.
I don't know.
Mr. Hanlon, believe me, we are dealing with something big here. Please do as I ask. Make up a prescription and give it to that man.
What are you going to do?
I am going to follow him. Dr. Huntley is in trouble. I followed the red-haired man to a house on 74th Street. Down at the very end, it was a remodeled bronze stone, solid and silent. The street was dark. A few feet away, the black waters of the East River glistened easily. There were stone steps to the door, which was well above street level. The man went up the steps, and there was a momentary flash of light as the door opened. I stood on the opposite side of the street, pressed against the wall, waiting. A boat slid by in the black oil of the East River. Otherwise, the night was dark and almost deathfully still. I crossed the street and silently crept up the stairs of the brownstone house. My leaning was out over the stone railing. I could just see beneath the brown blind in the front window. I could see one hand holding tightly the revolver. I could see Dr. Huntley bending over a man lying on a couch. When Dr. Huntley stood up, I was looking straight into the eyes of clothiers. This was all I needed. He was wanted on no less than 16 separate charges, and I knew where he was. A telephone call and clothiers would be arrested. In my heart there was a tremendous feeling of excitement and triumph. At last, after all these years, I had him trapped. At last he would pay for his crimes, the murders and the sabotage. In the darkness, I turned and started soundlessly down the street to the street. And then, as always happened with this man, almost as though some cruel fate was protecting him, I stepped on something that was soft. There was a furious rush of fear against my legs. Assignment 17 actually began in January of 1947 in a hotel suite in Copenhagen. 2 days before, on January the 26th, a Dutch plane had crashed, killing my dear friend, Prince Gustavus Adolphus of Sweden, and at the same time ending the career of the beautiful American soprano Grace Moore. I knew the story. I had the facts, but I had no proof. I had only a burning hate for the man responsible. I hated his smugness, his safety, his brilliance. I hated myself for coming to his hotel room on that day 3 years ago and drinking his imported champagne.
My dear Baroness, only a woman of your background would have accepted my invitation. Your champagne.
Thank you.
You did your best to save him, didn't you?
I underestimated you. I never dreamt you could get to him on a Dutch plane in Denmark.
It was necessary that Gustavus Adolphus die. I could have gotten to him anywhere.
I promise you that someday, I don't know how or where or when, but someday, as God is my judge, I will pay you back.
Please, Baroness, no recriminate. The episode is ended. Drink your champagne.
If you'll excuse me, I think I shouldn't have come.
But you did come, didn't you?
I wanted to kiss your own lips.
Oh, come, Baroness, we are Europeans. We may be on opposite sides, but that doesn't prevent our having a drink together.
You killed 20 people in that plane crash. Are you really as calm as you look? Doesn't it bother you at all?
It bothers me very much indeed. I feel particularly sorry about Grace Moore. She was a very talented and attractive woman.
His name was Kurt Werder, and he was a monster of evil. 1 year later, I saw him again, this time in Prague. It was March of 1948. And on the 10th of the month, Jan Masaryk has committed suicide. At least, the chest read claimed it was suicide. I believed otherwise, because Kurt Werder was there. This time I tried to kill him. I went to the rooming house where he was hiding and tried to shoot him.
Drop that gun, Baroness. Drop it or I break your arm. Thank you.
I swear that someday I'll get you. If it takes me the rest of my life,
Baroness, you are a fool. Masaryk was afraid to live. He jumped out of that window himself. Now get out.
I swear that someday I'll kill you. I swear.
That will be difficult. My next assignment is in America. I'm marrying an American girl from the United States legation in Sofia. We are sailing for New York next Thursday.
And then Kurt Werder disappeared. I neither heard of him nor saw him for 2 years. I came to America myself, and gradually the evil faded from my memory. And then last week that memory returned with a rush. Dr. Gordon Huntley, one of the most prominent surgeons in New York, telephoned me at my apartment. Hello?
This is Gordon Huntley speaking. Do you remember me?
Dr. Huntley, of course I remember you. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you. I've something I'd like to talk to you about.
Oh, really?
Yes, I felt that because of your work, you might be able to help me. Have you ever heard of a man named Kurt Werder?
Kurt Werder?
Yes. You know him?
Yes, I do.
Could you see me tonight?
Certainly. Where?
Well, I have office hours tonight. Let me see. Patient at 7, another one at 8. Could you come at 7:15?
7:15 will be fine, Dr. Huntley.
Good. My office is 918 East 72nd Street.
918 East 72nd. I'll be there at 7:15.
It's back at 7 o'clock and the Shafter child isn't coming. Why don't you go down to the corner and get yourself a sandwich?
You've a 7:15 appointment, Dr. Huntley.
I won't need you. It's personal.
Well, if you're sure.
You're the hungriest woman in New York. Now run along.
All right, I will. Oh, Dr. Huntley.
Yeah?
Did you have a patient last night after I left?
What makes you think so?
Because I distinctly remember emptying the sandy pail last night before I left, and this morning there was some soiled bandages.
Supposing I tell you about it later.
Well, of course, I didn't mean to imply that there was any...
Well, that's all right, nurse. Go out and have some supper and be back at 8.
Yes. Oh, excuse me. I didn't realize there was anyone waiting. Will you tell Dr. Huntley that Mrs. Werther is here? Have you an appointment, Mrs. Werther? He'll see me. Tell him. Unless you're seriously ill, I'm afraid you'll have to make an appointment. Dr. Huntley's very busy, and he'll see me. Just tell him. I'm afraid... Oh, I'll tell him myself. Mrs. Werther, you can't go in there. Dr. Huntley never sees anybody without an appointment. Gordon. Dr. Huntley, she just pushed her way in. I told her...
All right, Nurse Black. Go and have your supper.
I told her you were busy, that you never saw anybody...
Will you please go and have your supper?
Yes, Dr. Huntley.
Shut the door.
Are you still keeping it a secret? Oh, all right.
I told you not to come here. I told you I didn't want to have anything more to do with you. I did what you asked. I've given you 48 hours. Well, now I'm going to the police.
Gordon, when you've lived in Europe as long as I have, you get a different slant on these things.
Look, Frida, this country suits me fine, just fine. I refuse to help a man who gets shot trying to wreck it. I hate communism, and I don't want to have anything to do with it.
You're afraid.
All right, I'm afraid. I happen to have a reputation to protect. If the hospital ever knew about you, I'd be finished.
I think you owe it to me, Gordon.
I don't owe you anything.
Kurt's wound is infected. I want you to come.
No.
It's only 2 blocks.
You turned up out of nowhere after all these years, and I helped you. But I won't help you anymore.
I'm sorry we had to come to you, but there was no other way. We didn't know any other surgeon in New York. I know you hate me. I know you disagree.
I don't hate you.
But you certainly can't love me very much.
Look, Frida, I don't care if Kurt dies. Now, do you understand that?
That's been a fairly consistent attitude with you, hasn't it?
Frida, forget the past. I did what any doctor would do because I was so stunned at seeing you. And because you do happen to be...
I'm Kurt's wife, and I love him.
Oh, that's too bad. You marry somebody from a sewer, you've got to live with a stench.
Listen, Gordon. I'm just about at the end of my rope. Kurt is not going to die. You may not think he's much, but I love him. I love him enough to go to jail for him, steal for him, or even kill for him. We've got to have a week before he can travel. That's all, just a week. Now get your bag and come.
If you don't get out of here, I'll call the police. I won't. Frida, you crazy? Put that gun away.
We've got to have a week.
Not from me.
I mean this, Gordon. We've got to have a week. Now get your bag and come on. This is a debt of yours, Gordon. Now come quietly. If you don't, this gun will make a terrible mess of your face.
Baroness, I just don't understand it. I just don't understand where he could go. He always has office hours Tuesday night.
Did you call the hospital?
And his phone service and his hotel.
And they haven't heard from him?
Nobody has heard from him.
Have you ever seen this Mrs. Werther before?
No.
You are sure?
Positive.
If there was only some way we could get her address.
Do you know her?
I know her husband.
But what's the connection with Dr. Huntley?
I don't know. I only know that her husband is one of the most dangerous men in the world.
Baroness, there's something else.
What?
Yesterday morning, I always get in before Dr. Huntley. I found some soiled dressings in the Stanley pail.
I don't understand.
At the end of the day, I clean up. If there were blood-stained bandages in the garbage yesterday morning, Dr. Huntley must have had a surgical case last night after I left.
Did you ask him?
Matter of fact, I did. He was sort of evasive. He said he'd tell me about it later. Baroness, do you think we ought to call the police?
I don't know. I don't know what to do.
10:30, I'm getting worried.
There may be some perfectly logical explanation, Nurse Black. Let's wait until midnight. If he isn't home then...
Dr. Huntley's office.
Nurse Black, this is Hanlon's pharmacy.
Oh, hello, Mr. Hanlon.
Is Dr. Huntley there?
No, I'm sorry, he's out. May I take a message?
Well, we just got the oddest prescription from Dr. Huntley that I ever saw in my life.
Prescription? When?
Oh, just now. It's for penicillin, and it just doesn't make sense.
Will you hold the line a moment? Better still, can I call you back?
Oh, there's a man waiting for it.
Mr. Hanlon, just stall for a minute, will you? Just stall for a minute, and I'll call you right back. That's the druggist at the corner, Hanlon's pharmacy. We've dealt there for ages. He just got a prescription from Dr. Huntley.
You think, Nurse Black? I think you are a very smart woman.
Do you want me to come with you?
No. You stay here in case Dr. Huntley calls.
There's a man waiting for the prescription. I tell you what, I'll phone Hanlon and say you're on your way down. You can walk it in less than a minute. I'll tell him you'll go to the side door. It opens right into the dispensary at the back of the store.
Is that the man out there, Mr. Hanlon?
The red-haired fellow in the dark coat.
When did he come in?
And just before I telephoned Nurse Black.
What did you tell him?
I said it would take about 20 minutes to make up the prescription. He said he'd wait.
Have you ever seen him before?
I don't remember him.
What's so odd about this prescription?
There's no address on it, that's odd. And then the quantity. Tablets, penicillin, oral. 100 units in numero 5. 1 tablet 4 times daily.
It doesn't make sense.
That's 5 100-unit tablets. And there's no such thing as a 100-unit tablet.
Are you sure that's Dr. Huntley's writing?
Oh, yes, I've been filling his prescriptions for years.
What's your usual penicillin prescription?
Well, it varies.
Supposing you give him 20 tablets of 100,000 units each.
I don't know.
Mr. Hanlon, believe me, you are dealing with something big here. Please do as I ask. Make up a prescription and give it to that man.
And what are you going to do?
I am going to follow him. Dr. Huntley is in trouble. I followed the red-haired man to a house on 74th Street. Down at the very end, it was a remodeled brownstone, solid and silent. The street was dark, and a few feet away, the black waters of the East River glistened easily. There were stone steps leading up to the door, which was well above street level. The man went up the steps, and there was a momentary flash of light as the door opened. I stood on the opposite side of the street, pressed against the wall, waiting. A boat slid by on the black oil of the East River. Otherwise, the night was dark and almost deathfully still. I crossed the street and silently crept up the stairs of the brownstone house. By leaning well out over the stone railing, I could just see beneath the brown blind on the front window. I could see a woman's hand holding tightly to a revolver. I could see Dr. Huntley bending over a man lying on a couch. When Dr. Huntley stood up, I was looking straight into the eyes of Kurt Werder. This was all I needed. He was wanted on no less than 16 separate charges, and I knew where he was. A telephone call and Kurt Werder would be arrested. In my heart there was a tremendous feeling of excitement and triumph. At last, after all these years, I had him trapped. At last he would pay for his crimes, the murders and the sabotage. In the darkness, I turned and started soundlessly down the stone steps to the street. And then, as always happened with this man, almost as though some cruel fate was protecting him, I stepped on something that was soft. There was a furious rush of fear against my legs.